Well, welcome to Sebring Slot Cars. This is Jim and Steve, and we are going to have shop talk today. And today we're going to talk about why my cars are so slow. And so I'm going to let Steve narrate most of this, and let's see what he's got to say.
You know, we're going to start with this in a minute, but going on Jim's cars being slow.
Look at the
Jim's cars aren't really slow. Jim just doesn't have a lot of time to work on his cars, and it's kind of a thing that hurts a lot of racers. And we're going to pick on a couple of his cars. That one that's really super fast that now is slow, and one that's just slow from the jump. But we're not really picking on him. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to.
Well, the one that the red one is one that was in a very severe wreck at the end of the day the other day, or about 3/4 through the race, and it got hit really hard. It broke the chassis, the pod. It broke the pod, and
we're going to take it apart. That's for sure.
yeah. So I got to replace the pod, but then it also lost a screw.
It pushed the body part in.
And see the front fender here. It pushed it in. I'm sure I can glue that back. But so anyway,
see, this is Jim. He's the guy who owns a shop. He's like, I think we can glue it back. He's like, that body has been needing to be retired since, I don't know, last year. But
you know, B7000 is a great thing.
I will say this: getting beat by a car that looks like it fell off a turnip truck is really defeating, man. There's nothing worse. Anyway, we'll get into why my car slowed down. That's the topic. Why did my car slow down? One of the reasons is did it get in a crash, or has it not been cleaned, or other things.
One of the reasons is it's been so beat up you need another car.
So, on that note, let's talk about it. Usually, guys will say, "My car slowed down, Steve. Why do you think it slowed down?" And the first question I have for him is, "What is the diameter of the tire on that car?" And typically, the answer is, "I don't know." If you don't know the diameter of the tire, you're kind of you're walking around in the dark. And so, why? It really just boils down to a gearing situation. When you run a larger circumference diameter, you're going to have a higher top speed. And if you start out at like 800 on a tire overall diameter, and you're now at 760, let's say, that car is going to run from like a 4.7 when it started to like a 5 flat because it lost its top end on a big track like the orange. This doesn't really apply so much on the black track, but we're using this scenario just on the orange because we're going to talk about why the car slowed down. In a fast track scenario like that, when that gearing changes that drastically because you lost so much diameter, it's going to slow that car down if you're on the orange. And so you have to know, where did you start when it was going fast? It's really important, which is usually around 800. And where are you now? And so I had a guy that came to me with a Corvette. I measured his tire. He was at like 765, and he started at, I think, 810. And so we changed his tires, and magically the car was fast again. And so I can't tell you how important this little device is right here. The caliper. Caliper. Not a micrometer, it's a caliper, according to my good friend here. I'm learning. The caliper, if you don't have this, it doesn't matter what car you have. If you don't really know what your tires are, you're not going to know if you need to change them. You can't guess. There's no kick in the tire like on a real car. It is what it is. So you need to have one of these, and it's a good investment. We sell them here. You can buy them wherever you want to buy them. We prefer you buy them here, but you need this. So why did my car slow down? Let's look at tires. So you looked at your tires, but the car's they're fine.
Where did the tires start? Where do we normally start them?
On a GT car on orange, I'd say around 800 is a good place. If you get any bigger than that, you could probably squeeze an 810 or 15 on there, but you're really going to compromise the handling on the donut.
Okay. And
it's just going to be almost rubbing into the body parts. It's just too big of a tire for the car.
How small do you typically go?
You could run on that track without rubbing, probably a 760.
Okay, and let me on the
755
on the two tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we generally run a bigger tire on the orange because the orange is pretty much a flat out track. On the black, it's
very technical.
It's a very technical track, and so you know. So because the black has so many twists and turns, you want a smaller tire to help with the handling of the car. So what we usually will do is we'll run our bigger tires when we race on the orange track, and then as we race on the black track, we'll move those tires from whatever car we ran on the orange to a car to run on the black once they wear down. So you get longer life out of your tires rotating between the two tracks.
And we're saying maybe 10,000 wear on a medium tire on orange per race, maybe?
Yeah, thereabouts.
So I mean, you got to remember, you're at 8, now you're 790, 780. As you keep going down, then you can transfer over.
And if you don't sauce the tires, you can probably run a race with 5,000ths wear.
Yeah.
It's when people start saucing the tires with, snake oil, then the tires get soft. The softer the rubber, the more wear. And most of the pros do not sauce their tires. I clean mine with lighter fluid, and normally that's about it. If I get some old tires on the car that are a little dry, I'll hit them on some sandpaper and just freshen them up and try racing them that way.
I'll run the car first just to see what is it doing.
See what it does. Yeah.
It may just be great right out the.
Yeah,
it could.
You should absolutely never sauce your tires before a race without testing.
Yep. And testing is probably right here. That's a really important thing. You have to give yourself enough time before the race to come in, measure your tires, and run a couple sets of tires to see where you're at. If your idea is to come in and be competitive, if your idea is just to come in and have a hobby, have some fun with your friends, and have a little communion, and fellowship, I think that's terrific too. And none of this necessarily applies to that person.
You're supposed to test?
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Most of the guys I know want to win, and so I think that's important. But yeah, tires, they're a big deal, and you need to know where you're at with them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the discussion was the tires wear down, and as the tires wear down, the car slows down. And there's a big difference in the speed of a car with an 800 tire versus a 750 tire.
Huge
difference. Huge difference in handling. And so you have to find that happy medium where you're comfortable.
That window.
For where you want to run them tires in a given race. I mean, I've been known to run 750 tires when everybody's running 800s just because I didn't change tires, and I'm okay with that. And usually, when I do those kind of things, I'm not looking to win. I'm looking to handle, and I'm hoping that my competitors will wreck and I'll stay on the track.
Yep. They're different. It just depends on tracks. And again, the topic here is, why did it slow down? So if you're wondering if your car slowed down, it's one thing to look at for sure. Even on the black track. So okay, give me an example on the black track. On the black track, it really doesn't reward you putting gigantic tires on it. And so I've been experimenting, like, what is the largest I can possibly put on there without it toppling over all the time? And I had a race where I had 760s on and somebody else had 780, and their car was like a tenth faster. And then over a span of a race, that
adds up.
It added up pretty quick. So then I jumped up, and now I'm running a 780, 790. I even put an 8 something on Goldie that I put a set of Scale Autos on there, and it still ran. And so I wanted to see how big I could go, because that little bit of tire actually made a difference, and that span of race on black, it hurt. So I don't want to get caught up on tires, but one thing to look at first is tires, having a caliper so you know where you're at.
Tire diameter.
Yeah. Going forward after that, we got to talk about electricity. We run motors on electricity, and the thing that runs electricity is braids and lead wires. If either one of those are messed up, it can just hurt a car tremendously. I've had a situation myself where a lead wire was loose, was barely touching, not a good connection, car was slow. Another fellow member helped me. We put new braids on it and got a good connection. The car took off like it was on fire.
So going to braids, what causes braids to make the car slow?
Well, you're running out of braid. Either they're wore out and there's not a whole lot of them left. They're too flat. They're not touching, which means you need to curl the braids. So in this case, we kind of pre-curled these up a little bit. But if you look here at this car, we kind of curled them up a little bit because...
Basically what we're talking about is arcing the braid so there's tension against the braid on the track. When they're totally flat, sometimes you'll find a low spot in the track and the car will stutter. And so you don't want your braids to lay perfectly flat. You want them to have a little arc to them where they're constantly making contact with the track. And a lot of times you'll see if you go through a curve and your braids are flat, the car will stammer. And it's just because the car is rocking, over, and it's lifting the braid up, and because the braid's so flat, it doesn't have any reach. And so you'll see it like that. You'll see it sometimes at the start. Maybe you've moved your car in a new heat, and you're starting a new heat, and the track goes on, and your throttle's down, and the car doesn't move. And the problem when that happens usually is the braids are too flat. You just happen to have poor conductivity, and so it's either going to be the braids too flat or it's going to be lead wires.
So we talked about tires and braids and lead wires. So we got to make sure all your connections are good. It basically, I call it catfish braids. If your braids are setting with 2 or 3 strands on this side and a couple of strands on this side, it's time to get some braids, you know?
Yeah, and you know, I've got the winning record for running braids the longest of anybody.
You get all your money's worth, but yeah.
And it's just because I haven't taken the time to change them. You know, what can I say? I'm lazy. And because I'm lazy, I have lost races because I ran out of braid in the race.
That's happened.
And this isn't like 124. You can't just pop a braid in and go again.
No, it's
these. You got to pull the body off.
It's a task.
Yeah, it's a chore. I wish we had guides similar to 124 where you could do that.
Keep in mind, guys, this is all about maintenance, most of this. So, you know, there's going to be some installation mistakes that we're going to talk about here coming up, but most of this is just maintenance on your car. So, I mean, make sure you got good braids. Make sure your lead wires are all connected good. Make sure that you put a little bit of, what's that, the juice that we put on the braid?
Juice.
The braid juice on the, you know, just a drop here and there. You don't have to get crazy with that. I see guys between heats doing that. That's unnecessary, in my opinion. We'll go past those things from electrical, and we're going to go into gears. I can't explain to you, second to tires is probably gears. Guys will run gears for a long time, and they'll get in wrecks, and they get wore out, they get cracked, which here's an example of a cracked gear. If I can get this in the camera. It'll make quite a noise, honestly. And it will actually slow the car down quite a bit. You know, it can't be, you have to change it. Here's another gear where if you look at them side by side, it's incredibly worn. I mean, you can just tell the teeth difference here. This one's filthy. It looks like it's been in a jungle. I mean, it's probably Jim's favorite, but it's pretty worn.
Don't cars get faster as the gears get smaller?
I'm going to have to go with no.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a rumor about that, but it's not true. The thing that you have to be doing here with these is you have to change your gears out. If they're worn, and you need to be looking at gear mesh. And what do we mean by gear mesh?
Well, before you go to gear mesh, I will tell you that worn gears that look decent, but you can see they're getting worn, will cost you easily 1/10 of a second.
All day long.
You know, and so when we say worn, we don't mean worn out. We mean when you can start seeing them getting a little frazzled, get them off the car.
Yeah.
You know, put a new gear on. Don't be so cheap like me.
And if you change gears, you probably should change them both, in my opinion. I mean, you don't have to, but it's a good rule of thumb to do both the pinion and the spur at the same time and have them pitched together. And that makes a really quiet car, a really cohesive car. And if you break your gears in together, it's a better deal. It's an extra $8 usually or $6, but I gotta be honest, I'd rather do that than have a pinion that looks good, but it has like etch marks in it where it's been broke in, and I put a new gear on it and it pitches it wrong and it hurts it. So I just wasted the money on the new spur. So I'd rather just do them both at the same time. This is my take on that.
Okay. What's next?
Gear rubbing. I'm sorry, gear mesh. Gear mesh means how those two teeth interact, and there's 2 problems with gear mesh. One is if the gears are so tight that they're slammed together and they're binding and they can't turn. This will slow the car down and it hurt everything. It puts stress on the motor. It's just a bad thing. You don't want them slammed together. Conversely, you don't want them way far apart where they can skip and strip the teeth. And when you do that, when they're too loose, they'll just skip across each other and they'll just tear the teeth off. So you can't be too loose on your mesh and you can't be uber tight. There's like a window there. And what you're looking for with that is, hopefully I can show it to you here. If you just barely turn this, I'm not rotating this axle at all, but if you look at the tire, it's moving, it's rocking back and forth. That rocking back and forth is those 2 teeth intermingling with each other in the gears. And you can just see it here, I'm just barely rocking it back and forth. This one right now has a good gear mesh. It's on the side of loose, but not bad. And so I can tell by just holding your finger on the motor and doing it, but this one, I can tell just by rocking it back and forward.
It's kind of like a differential in a car.
Yeah.
You got to have
a
minute amount of play
to
keep from grinding.
And so if your car is slowed down, either you have a worn setup or it's too tight. And I can tell you 90% of the time when I change gears out on a car for someone, it's like the car just came alive again. And keep in mind, we went to the tires first to see if that was the problem. If that's not the problem, I'm going to go to the next link in that chain. That's probably going to be the gears. And then I would probably go to the electricity, to the wires. After that, it's mostly, again, installation problems that I'm seeing. So another thing that slows down cars after those gears. Oh, by the way, real quickly on the gears, you need to put a little bit of grease, not the liquid stuff, a little bit of grease on the gears, not a lot, but just every once in a while and keep them lubed up. You can't just run them raw all the time and dry and expect them to last. So if you want your gears to last a little longer and the car to run smoother and be quiet, you need to put a little bit of lube on them. And it usually comes in a syringe, and you just put just a little dollop on there, and you're on your way. So past gears, I think we need to look at things rubbing on the car. Typically, I see guys put new tires on their car, and they come in and tell me the car is slowed down. I pick the car up, and I'll notice that the tires rub in the gear, the tires rub in the body. The tires are slammed together, they're too tight, meaning the mesh in the axle, when you put it together, you didn't leave any play in the axle to go back and forth this way. So this car, even though it's smashed, oh, it can't be done. We have to do it this one. I showed you the play in it going back and forth this way with the mesh and the gear. There's also play that goes back this way, back and forth. And this motion back and forth, you can see this moving, I hope, in the car. This actually has it. Sometimes guys will put this together and mash these tight where there's no way for the car to move back and forth. That causes a binding and it slows the car down.
Hugely.
Huge. So how do you space that? This little 3000 feeler gauge, we sell them, you can get them anywhere. This has a little notch in it that goes over that axle. And you put that in between the axle and whatever you're sandwiching together on the car, and then tighten everything down and you pull this out, and it gives you that correct mesh, or I'm sorry, not mesh, spacing between the axles, so it goes back and forth. So
and if you press it together so tight that you can't get the gauge out, you're pressing it too tight.
Hard. Yeah,
you can actually damage the gauge by trying to press too hard.
You'll flatten the gauge up. Yeah, you have to be. There's nothing here that requires Herculean strength. So you just kind of just squeeze it together, tighten it up, pull it out, and you'll be on your way. So again, too tight of a gear mesh, too loose of a gear mesh, worn out gears, and in this case, too tight of a axle spacing can cause the car to slow down. So we've covered so far all those things, and now we're going to talk about body tightness and pod tightness. I can't tell you how many times I come up to a car and things are rubbing because the car doesn't have any room to move. Whether they've got the pod just so tight it can't move, which is, let me take that back. Can you run a pod tight? The answer to that question is yes. Do you want it so locked tight that it wants to flip over every time you go into a corner? Probably not a good idea. I typically leave my center screw on the triangle or on most of these pods. This one here, I don't usually mess with this one. This is almost always tight on my car. These in the back, in this car, here and here, I take those and I loosen them just quarter turns until I get the movement I need on the track where I feel the car's stable.
How much movement are you looking for?
And when I say, I will take only, when I talk about a turn, I'm talking like just that much of a turn. Just a quick little quarter turn, half a turn.
How loose do you want the back yet?
And that depends on the condition of the track. So let's say I have a track that is ultra slippery. It has no rubber. The car's all over the place. I can't get it to hook up. It's just wagging. I'm going to keep tightening that pod down until I can get that calm. If I still have the pod tight, like snug all the way around, it's still wagging, then I might throw a piece of tape underneath the car to help slow it down. If I continue to wag after I've tightened up the pod and put a piece of tape across the car, I would highly recommend changing compounds and tires. Something's wrong. You've now exceeded everything that you can do. You've tightened the pod, you've tightened everything up, and you're still all over the place. That means you have the wrong tires. Either you need to go with a softer compound tire, or a smaller rim tire and a soft compound, or you're running a hard compound. Something's wrong in the tire compound at that point. So tightening a pod is mostly, in my opinion, designed to, you should start stiff or tight and loosen the car to a point where you feel comfortable with your driving style. The way I drive a car, I like to call it the Goldilocks zone. There's, there's too hard and too soft, and there's just right. I like not too loose, not too stiff. I like it kind of right in the middle where it'll give if I push it too hard. Like if I make a mistake and get a little hand-fisted in a corner, I want it to have enough forgiveness that it doesn't roll. But I don't want it to be so loose that I can't drive the car where I'm running into everybody and it's unpredictable and it just rolls out on me. So I try to find in my pod and in my tire setup kind of a happy zone for the car. But we're kind of getting away from the topic, which is why did it slow down? And again, just making sure that everything is set up correctly is important, whether it's the front tire spacing, rear tire spacing back and forth and up and down, really important.
All right, we skipped over dirty motor.
That's what that's the last thing, and we'll close out on this. This car is really interesting because it's Jim's, and he was involved in a bad crash, so let's be fair to him.
This car, this red Corvette has been through the ringer. I mean,
hours and hours.
It's been loaned out. It's won a lot of races.
A lot.
And it stays competitive.
And it's fast.
But it has been used and abused. And I still race it myself.
Look at that. Look at this.
Back into the body fell out.
Yeah, there's the body's out of it. Okay, so check this out, folks. This is interesting. Well, first of all, let's go ahead and get the dryer lint off of here.
Hey.
I don't know if you can see this.
Just don't light a match around it.
So look at these tires up close. Let's take a quick look at this car and what's going on with this car. Why did this car slow down? All right, so let's see. We have.
Are you sure that car slowed down?
Well, it was actually going pretty good, but it shouldn't be going pretty good. This has, well, first of all, it has a big problem here. This actually, I don't think broke the pod. I think it actually snapped. It looks like it snapped the bushing out of the pod.
Yeah, but I think the pod
cracked.
has a crack, and that's why the bushing, because it's come out before.
Well, that might be the first white pod we've ever broke. Well, look at this car inside, folks. I would say that this is a pretty good candidate for getting clean.
Well, then clean it.
All right, so cleaning it. Well, I'm going to.
You gonna do a class on cleaning?
Well, that'll be on maybe another video, but I'm even going to clean this car because it's killing me.
We need to do 30-minute segments. So how many cars do you think you need? 6,
right.
7?
Yeah, probably. So if you look at here, even hold on a second, I'll get you back on that camera. I mean, he has things in the car. Look at this stuff that's coming off this car. The track picks up a lot of stuff, guys. There's so much stuff that goes inside this engine.
Was that cat hair?
It was cat hair, lint, probably belly button lint.
We don't have any cats.
I don't know. I think we do. Squirrel fur. I'm not really sure what's in there, but it's in rough shape. What is really good for cleaning these, and this was told to me right out of the gate, and I kind of didn't pay attention to it. Victor told me about this, and then our good friend Miguel showed me a video, a picture inside one of his motors he cleaned, and it looked like you could eat in there. So basic contact cleaner.
You can't eat off of Miguel's. It doesn't have anything in there. You need to eat off of mine where there's some protein.
There's probably something good in there, probably a steak. This contact cleaner, there's so many different brands of it. This is just one I picked up.
CRC is a quality product, though.
Sure. And so I take the straw in it, of course, or you can run it either way. It just doesn't matter. But you want to spray it inside the motor. You get all the debris and stuff off of it. And then if you have a machine to run the car, like a dyno machine or just a tester or a motor break-in machine, whatever you want to call it, get it on there and spin it and then spray it again and then spin it and then spray it again and spin it. And I do it for about 10 minutes and get that motor really clean. And this is interesting because I'd kind of forgotten about cleaning the inside of the motors. I'd keep the outside, the pod and everything clean, and that's great. But I had a guy that asked me to fix his Mosler, and I worked on that car, and he needed gears, he needed it reweighted, he needed tires, all the things we're talking about. And the car was just still terribly slow. And I just couldn't figure out what was going on. I just had done everything but lick a skunk to make that car work. And I thought, oh, I wonder if the motor's dirty. And so I sprayed it. And man, after I cleaned that motor, it went from a 5.1 car to a 4.7 car because the motor was so dirty.
I would like to give one disclaimer.
Okay.
Do not do this in your wife's house.
No.
Take it outside, or spray it over a garbage can.
Over a bucket, yeah.
Or over a stack of paper towels.
Yeah.
But take it outside and spray it. You know, and don't spray it directly on the ground. Spray it over a bucket or something. And be wise with what you do, and don't endanger your life by making your wife mad.
Yeah. It is important.
And I will tell you, one time I had a bunch of apartments, and I had just put brand new carpet in one. And the first tenant that moved in, decided he needed to rebuild his motorcycle engine on the coffee table, and sprayed brake cleaner on my brand new carpet and bleached it out. So I don't know what contact cleaner will do to carpet.
Oh, I don't think it'd be good.
But it's probably not going to end well for you if you do that. So our advice is take it outside, take it in the garage, take it anywhere but inside your wife's house.
It is pretty gnarly stuff, and it works well, and it won't hurt your car. But the contact cleaner, I think, is something. A clean car is a happy car. Yeah, it is. Believe it or not.
I thought my cars were happy.
Well, it was until now. But it'll be happier. This car, I believe this car has so much more potential if it was clean. But it is amazing that what you do with your cars, for what it's worth. But
you mean by how I treat them or by how I race them?
Well, both. They're both miracles. There's no doubt. But you guys, the key to this is I want to try to help anybody that's in our shop and that's online. If you're wondering why the car slowed down, it's usually truly about maintenance. And it usually amounts to, these cars are pretty bulletproof. This is why we're showing Jim's car. I'm telling you, the amount of hours, the amount of people, the amount of crashes, the amount of just drama this car has saw and seen, and how it runs is just amazing to me. So do you have to keep your car sterling perfect to make it run? Jim is an example. The answer is no. But does it help? Yes. And for the common guy, the average guy, I would have to say that your tires and your gears and just the basic cleaning of your car is going to keep you happy, keep the car fast, and you won't always be wondering what's wrong with it. And it'll give you an idea of where to look. And I have about maybe 5 more minutes left. And one thing I wanted to share with somebody was, what's my process of elimination of trying to figure that out when somebody gives me a car. That usually amounts to me picking up a car first, and I take the car and I tip it upside down. And when I tip the car upside down, I'm looking at, first of all, do all the wheels spin freely? Can I just run the car freely with my fingers, very gentle? Does the car spin? If all the wheels spin and there's no interference especially when I press in on the chassis, then I know that there's no interference issues, there's no rubbing issues, there's nothing rubbing a gear, everything feels nice and free. That's my first place I look. After that, I look at side to side. Is anything loose? Is the gear moving around? Is something come undone? After I do that, and I find out that the gearing is good, I find out that the body, there's no interference, I start looking at the pod. Is it super loose or is it super tight? It's just a process of elimination as I keep going through the cars, looking for things that are wrong with them. That's typically my process. Interference, what tires, pod tightness, and body tightness. Moving the car like this, trying to see if the body will float on the car. It's like this car right now, if you look at the front, it actually is moving. The back, it's way too tight. It's binding back here. So if I were somebody to hand me this car right off the track, I'd say one reason it's rolling over is all the mesh and everything feels great, but the body is so tight back here, it's keeping it from having suspension. It wants to roll over after it catches. So again, just this screw needs to be adjusted. That's all that was wrong with this car if I were somebody to hand it to me right now. If they're a decent driver, I would just say you need to loosen this. If I saw them, and again, this goes back to watching cars. I'll watch cars marshaling and see them flipping over, or I'll see them braking too early, or I'll see them rubbing. They'll just come to a dead stop even though their brake is set at 0. That's because something's rubbing. Yeah, something's wrong. So I mean, again, just going over your car is really important, and it's mostly maintenance stuff, and it's usually not you. It's just the car needs a little bit of love. So on that note, I hope that helps. You know.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. One thing that I'd like to wrap up with: if you have 2 equal drivers, the one with the better tuned car is going to win.
Absolutely.
Every time, unless his car breaks. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, if both cars are if both drivers are equal and the cars, one's tuned better than the other,
it's over.
That's going to be the difference between winning and not winning. Mm-hmm. And I do neglect my cars, and
you are really an exception to the rule, though, because you're one of the few people that can drive past a car sometimes. Like when a car is really limping around, you'll make it work. And to your credit, I'm not sure how you do it, but you do a good job. Well, but I've also seen, now to his argument, I've seen a car that was prepped for you by someone else that was absolutely sterling, and man, you threw laps down that I still have not matched on Hyper yet. So, I mean, when you do have a proper car, you
Yeah.
do run a lot faster. Just saying.
Well, and I do, but you know, the shop owners, you're going to run off customers if you try to dominate.
Yeah.
Don't be so proudful not to let somebody beat you. You know, you don't have to win all the time, but you know, we have a good time. We have a lot of laughter, a lot of fun. Everybody appears to enjoy coming here. The biggest complaint we get is we're not, 40 hours a week isn't enough. And you know, so right now that's what we're going to do is 40 hours a week, and we get enough people want another 4 hours on an evening or something,
We'll figure it out.
that. But
Yep.
you know, we got to have some consistency to do that. But you know, we've gone over the many reasons that cars slow down. Hopefully
Helps out.
save this or as a favorite or something where you can go back to it, refer to it, and you know, it's just common sense things. And you know, Steve's a pretty common sense guy.
Yep, for the most part.
Very analytical.
Yep.
You know, and so I hope you enjoy this show. We're going to close out, and we'll see you next week.
Alrighty. All right, I'm gonna go get my woman and take her to the eye doctor. I'll be back.